Hey friends, how are you doing today? Welcome into my kitchen, into my home. We are going to be busy putting up some of these cucumbers that I have picked over the past few days. We're really at the beginning of our garden harvest season, and our cucumbers are starting to come in at like 4 or 5 a day, which is not a whole lot to make pickles with. And if you want to make pickles, you really need to use cucumbers that you picked that day. That way they're really crispy pickles at the end of the process. If you wait and use pickles you picked a few days before, then they don't come out quite so crispy. And I prefer my pickles to be crunchy. My relish, I'm okay with it being a little bit softer. So we have been saving up our cucumbers over the past few days. I went out and harvested more today, and we are going to chop them up and make a sweet relish that is from this Amish Canning and Preserving Cookbook. I'm pretty sure I picked this up at Tractor Supply. I love looking at Tractor Supply's little bookshelf and seeing what different books they have on there. Different recipe books, homesteading books, animal care books, things like that, gardening books. I love to pick them up. And this is one I have picked up and tried a few recipes out of. So I am excited to do this one today. In the book, they call it a pickle relish. They don't really call it a sweet relish, but it has 4 cups of sugar in it, which to me is sweet. Has twice as much sugar as vinegar. So I'm thinking it's going to be a sweet relish. But it has cucumbers, onion, peppers, and then they call for mustard seed, celery seed, and turmeric, which I'm going to sub out for pickling spice because I have a jar of pre-mixed pickling spice on hand, and I don't have the mustard seed, celery seed, and, well, I do have turmeric on hand, but I don't have the mustard seed and celery seed on hand. I need to pick some up. So we're just going to sub out the pickling spice to use it up and get these done. This says the recipe should make approximately 15 pints. If I can find my little half-pint jars, that is what I will be using today. We're going to have to go out and dig in my canning jar tote and see what sizes I have out there. And then we'll decide what size we're going to put these in. They are a Waterbath product. You do not have to have a pressure canner to do this. And folks, if you have never waterbathed before, all you need is a large stock pot and some kind of rack to get your jars up off the bottom of that stock pot, and you can water bath can. That's all you need. So we're going to get to it. So the first thing I have to do is chop all of my cucumbers up. I'm doing fairly big cubes. They're probably 1/2 inch by 1/4 inch. Just whatever I chop them up into, because I don't like mush for relish. I want it to have some kind of bite. Now, during the process of getting these done, canning these up, all other things, I will be multitasking, so you may see me do a few other things. I need to get my kombucha SCOBY put up in the fridge. It's really too hot for us to ferment anything since we don't have AC. It just ferments too fast during the heat of summer. So no sourdough, no kombucha right now. My SCOBY, however, is gotten massive, and I really need to get it in the fridge so that it will slow down on its growth and will be good for us when it starts cooling off a little bit. We are also in the process of trying to get everything prepared for our meat chicken butchering tomorrow. I will be so glad to have the meat chickens gone and not have to deal with them. I much prefer meat rabbits over meat chickens, and we're finally taking care of that tomorrow. Shh, don't tell Declan, but we're going to get him a little or 2 little feline friends today. He doesn't know yet. It's a surprise. But they are little bitty babies, 2 females. Not sure what we're going to name them yet. They're like a a light peach orange color, so I thought about maybe peaches and cream, but I'm not sure. I might call one Princess Peach. What's another female name from Mario, babe?
What was the one girl in the movie?
We may go with Mario names now for our feline friends. Declan's outside, that's why I'm not saying what they are. Because he can hear me. I may run out of room in my little container here before I get all my cucumbers chopped. Then I don't know what we're going to do then.
Hard to imagine that movie come out in 1993.
Ooh.
Makes me feel old. Princess Daisy.
So, I think her name was just Daisy.
Yeah. Well, no, she was actually a princess.
Was she?
Yeah. Her dad was the king of the whatever all that crap was on the other side of the other dimension.
So Peach and Daisy. I tried to get him to name them last night without him knowing what I was saying, because we were watching, he likes to watch like vet shows before bed, and we were watching Dr. Oakley, the Yukon vet, and they were playing with kittens, and I was asking him, I was like, Declan, if you had a kitten, what would you name it? And he just kept going, meow, meow, meow. I was like, but what would we name it? Meow, meow.
It's not nothing.
So I ended up with quite the load of cucumbers. This is, like I said, cucumbers I've been saving, here and there over the past few days. Plus what I harvested today, I went out and I think I had like 5 or 6 in the garden today. Got them all chopped up. Ended up with an entire colander full. Now, my version will not have as many peppers in it as the recipe version because I don't have as many peppers ready in my garden. I don't even know that I have enough cucumbers either. I need to measure them out. It calls for 4 quarts. I do have a quart jar, so I will probably measure them out and see how many quarts we got. Want to do it? Let's see what we got. Okay, so about 1 quart. Two quarts. 3 quarts. 4 quarts. With some cucumbers left. Okay. So I've got just under a pint of cucumbers left. So this works out perfect. Now, I'm going to go ahead and preface this with saying, do your own research into how you can alter canning recipes. You want to do approved canning recipes, but there are ways you can alter that approved canning recipe that will not make it unsafe for your family. That's why new recipes can be created. Again, do your own research. Don't rely on what I am doing here today, okay? But this is what I'm doing. And this just worked out almost pretty perfect for us, for what I've got going on. And I didn't even know it would. That's the only problem with canning recipes that I find is very few of them say you need 10 cucumbers. They say you need 2 quarts of chopped cucumbers, and you're like, how many cucumbers is in a quart? So I do all my produce and then look at my recipe and see what fits, what doesn't, how I can alter it, what I can do to make it work. This recipe here calls for 4 quarts of cucumbers, 1 quart of chopped onions, and 1 pint of peppers. Now, I know I do not have 1 quart of chopped onions or 1 pint of peppers. So my recipe will be short. Here's the thing. You can be short on a pickling recipe. You cannot be over. So, the way I read it, and the way that was explained to me, especially if you're pickling with something like high acid foods, how can you adjust it to make it fit your life and your taste? You can adjust the non-acid portion as long as you keep them in the correct ratios. So I need 4 quarts of cucumbers, 1 quart of onions, and 1 pint of peppers. All of those are low acid foods. They're all fairly equal on that scale. So I can adjust this recipe according to my own research. Do your own, as long as I stay within 5 quarts and 1 pint of low acid foods, because that's what the recipe calls for. 4 quarts of cucumbers, 1 quart of onions, 1 pint of peppers. That is 5 quarts and 1 pint. As long as I stay below that ratio of low acid foods to my sugar and vinegar mixture, my recipe will stay safe. Always research for your family to make sure you are doing what you feel is safest, not what somebody on YouTube says. I am just under a pint of cucumbers extra. I will add those in along with my very slim handful of banana peppers that were ready in my garden. I am leaving seeds in. These peppers are banana peppers, so they're not spicy, and the seeds do hold a whole lot of flavor that I want to be mixed in with my relish. Especially since I don't have that many peppers going into it, I want to still be able to get a lot of that flavor in there. So with my cucumbers and my peppers, it brings me right up to a pint. So this will take the place of my peppers. It's cucumbers and peppers, but it's still only a pint. Come out! Now that I got everything chopped up, the next step in our recipe says to sprinkle all of my cucumbers with 1/4 of a cup of salt to let the moisture drain out of them. I'm just going to do this by pouring everything in to my colander and setting it inside of a bowl for the liquid to drain into the bowl. Okay. I bet you will not. Ooh, you fit decently. We're just going to use this bowl. It's not the best fit, but it fits enough that I am okay with using it. Now for our salt, we are going to use kosher salt. Now, if you didn't know this, 4 tablespoons equal 1/4 cup. So, since my kosher salt is in a box, and it's kind of hard to get 1/4 cup in there, I use a tablespoon to scoop it out, and I'll just do 4 of these. We're going to let these soak for an hour to pull that moisture out before we move on with this. So I went out to my canning tote. I just have like a big Rubbermaid tote, like a really large one that holds all of my canning jars. I pick canning jars up throughout the year. Anytime we've got an extra $20 in the budget or something, I grab a case of canning jars. These are half pints. That says the recipe will make 15 pints. I find it never actually makes, like, any recipe for canning ever really makes exactly what it says it's going to make. It's really weird. And I know I'm short on my onions by a lot, so I know it's not going to make 15 pints. I don't know if it, I mean, I'm sure it's going to make more than this, because this is, like I said, half pints, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 12 half pints in here. I'm not that short on the recipe. So I'm going to search around and see if I can find my other half pints. I know I have some I've used in the past. And then we'll get all of these washed up and cleaned up. So I have to say, one of the downfalls about actually canning in an RV is you don't have much space. I've already done dishes today, as you can tell from my very full dish drainer, and I need to wash all my canning jars. So I have to empty my dish drainer and my dish drying rack over here before I can even wash my canning jars and wash my Waterbath canner to even get the canning process going. So thankfully our cucumbers have to set for an hour because I gotta get busy with dishes. Now we have a fairly full day today, and not a whole lot of time to get it done in, which is usually the life of living on a homestead. So we're going to be multitasking. We're going to get dishes going. We're going to get sweet tea going. I need to use some of that tea for the kombucha. The rest of the sweet tea is for Kenneth to drink. I personally absolutely love sweet tea, but I have to eat low carb for my health, and unfortunately sweet tea does not fit into that. If you have not seen my videos and my garden tours, I am growing my own stevia, so in the future I can use stevia in our sweet tea and make sweet tea a part of my life again. Because I miss it. I am Southern born and raised, and we drink a whole lot of sweet tea in our house. Okay, now we've got dishes put away. Let's get dishes done. Mainly our canning jars. I got a few things in the sink, but they can wait. And then we will make tea while we do that. Hopefully by that time, it'll be time to move on with our recipe, because we've got to get going here soon to be able to go get the kittens. And gotta pick up a few things for meat butchering day tomorrow. Now friends, I wanted to say, because I'm water bath canning these today, I will be doing them inside on my stovetop. However, we are processing meat chickens tomorrow, and I will be pressure canning a lot of those. And I will be doing those outside on a camp stove, and I will video that for y'all also. I've had a lot of questions about how we pressure can off-grid, especially living in such a tiny place. So I'm going to show y'all how I do that tomorrow. I've never pressure canned chicken, but I've done pork and rabbit, and it's all pretty much the same. My canner is washed. I store this outside under my RV, so it was a whole lot of dusty. Again, live in a small space, gotta do what you gotta do. My jars are washed. They are all clean. We're just waiting on the cucumbers to finish our recipe up. I'm gonna get some tea going for the kombucha though. So the ratio for kombucha is 1 gallon of strongly brewed black tea, 1 cup of sugar. That's all we do. That's all it is. That's the same strength of sweet tea that we drink, well, that Kenneth drinks. So I don't have to make anything special. So I will get the tea brewing. I just go ahead and put my tea bag in there, get the water up to just before boiling is where I'm always aiming for, and then I cut it off and let it steep. By going ahead and putting the tea bag in there, I just find it makes a stronger tea. If I wait until my water is already hot to let it steep, it comes out much, much weaker than what we like and much weaker than what the kombucha itself needs. Alright, turn it off, let it steep. This thing is incredible. Oh, y'all. It's bigger than it even looks on camera. Oh, I ripped it. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I let this thing get this far out of hand. Y'all. This is massive. I am amazed at how far I let this go get. This is like a new record for me. I could easily like share this with a ton of people, but I don't know anybody around me who does it. Okay, so I'm actually going to give this to the chickens and see if they will eat it. It is just good probiotics for their digestion. The one that I'm keeping, this top layer, it's the newest formed SCOBY, so it's the freshest, will just go in a Ziploc bag with a little bit of old kombucha and a little bit of fresh sweet tea, and it will go in the fridge.
It's glass.
Yeah, so we gotta be careful.
The glass.
So I'm just gonna dump all of this old kombucha right in there.
Where'd the boozy go?
Well, we're gonna give it with the chicken's feed, because we ferment their feed.
Where's the bee?
And then add some water.
Huh? Some water?
We're supposed to be mixing, silly.
And the ones are off.
So again, I try not to waste anything if it can be used. We normally could add a splash of apple cider vinegar to their fermented feed to kind of keep the fermentation strong. But why add apple cider vinegar when I have kombucha that went way past its stage and turned into vinegar? No point wasting it. Pour it in the chicken feed. So one of the fringe benefits of dumping our kombucha out, and one of the reasons I've done this today, even though it should have been done a whole long time ago and I kept putting it off, which is why my SCOBY was so big. I'm going to use this tomorrow on our chicken processing day, full of water, so that we can have an easy place to wash our hands with something that can be completely cleaned and sterilized after chicken processing. I have my 1 cup of sugar and my tea that we brewed in my pitcher. I'm going ahead and mixing them up. This will let the sugar melt, and then I will set them to the side to cool down until we're ready to mess with them again. While I have my sugar out, I'm going to get the brine going for our relish. So this recipe calls for 4 cups of sugar. Two cups of white distilled vinegar. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of my mixed pickling spice. And 1 more teaspoon of salt. So now I need to mix this up. I've got my drained cucumbers and peppers. This is how much liquid we ended up out of those. Okay, now it says to mix it all together and bring to a boil. Okay, so now that we're at a boil, we need to simmer for 20 minutes and then we will be ready to can. Perfect. Whew, hot, hot, hot. Now, while I fill these jars, I do already have my Waterbath canner on the stove heating up. So by the time I get everything filled and ready to go, that will be ready to go. Then I just process in there, which means boil for 10 minutes. Because that's the time you need for pickles. Or at least these. And then I'm done. So all I do is take a cloth, dip in the vinegar, wipe the outside of the rim, take a dry side of the cloth, wipe the outside of the rim, wipe my hand along the rim, ready to go.
Be hot. It's be hot. Let's be hot. Yeah. I baked some bacon. It's hot. The bacon's hot. I made some bacon to Mommy.
You made some bacon for Mommy.
Yeah. I'm trying. I got a bacon pommy.
My Waterbath canner here held 8 of my half-pint jars that are the wide mouth. I still had 4 jars left, so it made 12 of the half pints. The recipe says it will make 15 pints, but I was a little short on my onions, but not, no, half a recipe worth short. So that's the problem I always have with canning recipes. They never quite make what they say they're going to make. I don't know where the discrepancy is. All pints are the same size, so I don't understand what the issue is. But that's the issue we're having here. I have 4 more that did not fit in here because I ended up with a total of 12. So I will let them cool down completely and they will go in the fridge and will be used up first. But that's all I have today. I'm going to go ahead and get this finished up. We have to hit the road so we can go get that super secret special surprise that we are getting. Peach and Daisy is what we're going with. So that's going to be super fun. If you're not following me on Instagram, go follow me on Instagram so you can see pictures. I will probably post a picture in our next garden tour as well, just so y'all can see. But I'm going to get this done. Until next time, friends. Bye. I'll see you later.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
I was waiting on it. Bye. I'll see you later.